Hi, hello, my name is Mar, and today I wanted to talk about some of the most haunted roads in the United States. Now, this is not any sort of like mass compilation of every single haunted road. That would take thousands of hours, and I doubt that I could even find each and every one on the internet since every town has its own haunted road. So these are just a few of the ones that I found interesting and wanted to share. To get us started is Prospectors Road in Garden City, California. So you've probably heard all about the people flocking to California for the gold rush in your high school history textbook. Now, there was one miner who actually managed to strike gold and he got a good amount, but this didn't do him so well in the long run. So he ended up getting the gold, and to celebrate, he went into town, he went to the bar, he had some drinks, and he got drunk. Yeah. And while he was drunk, he decided to go brag all around town about how much gold he'd found. Smart idea. And then, people weren't that shocked when he turned up dead. Seems like somebody heard him bragging and took that opportunity while he was drunk to go steal his gold and kill him in the process. There are reports of this man still reappearing on Prospectors Road and approaching passengers looking for his money. So Roadrunner reported that those who have seen him report a tall, transparent, bearded ghost wearing threadbare work clothes, and he will vengefully tell passerby to get off my claim. Like, okay, King, it's kind of like moral of the story, your actions have consequences, don't get drunk and spew all about the gold you found, but also don't murder someone to steal their belongings. So yeah, it's just rather unfortunate, but a little bit of story to ease us in. Okay, second road is Stagecoach Road in Marshall, Texas. Firstly, let me just set the visual. It's a dirt road. That's it. Dirt road with pine trees surrounding it. Yeah. For me, that's already, it's haunted. I don't need to hear any ghost stories. If you love a good dirt road, slay. I love that for you. I don't love it for me. I actually, I have a story. I have several stories today, but this is a personal story. One time I visited some of my friends at my former college, and on my drive back to my apartment, I was using GPS and it had taken me on a different route than I usually go. So I was a little confused, but then it had me turn onto this road and I was like, what is this road? And then my phone died and I had somehow lost my car charger. So I was like, oh, this is great. And then, the weird little road turns into a dirt road. And I'm just like, okay, well, I guess I'll just keep driving and eventually I'll get off of this and I'll go find a gas station or a convenience store and I can go buy a charger or ask for directions. Except it didn't end. Oh my God, that road was so long and it just got bumpier and bumpier and scarier as I went. So I was not having a grand time. And also I was too scared to get out of my car and go ask anybody for directions. Eventually I did make it out okay, and I got home, so it's no worries. Nothing happened. It was just me being super paranoid and terrified of this dirt road. Also, my car, I have the worst luck with the tires. We love Cam, love my car, but my tire luck is horrible. I even had a dream last night that my tires fell off of my car. So go ahead and psychoanalyze that, but I just did not trust my tires on that dirt road. Yeah. Okay, so as I've already ranted in relation to, this road is very isolating. Previously, when the road was around the time it was first constructed, there were bandits that would hide in the pine trees and then jump out at the passing stagecoaches and rob them, and there were casualties in the process. Others tell reports of a woman in white ghost who will go through and apparently try to get revenge against the townspeople. That's why she's haunting the area, because Somehow they'd led to her drowning her children. The link wasn't quite clear. It is pretty similar to the woman in whitetail, which is spread across different states and even different countries. You might be more familiar with specifically La Llorona. So it's a pretty similar tale to that. Another tale of this Stagecoach Road is of another woman ghost who apparently was a woman who had passed through Marshall after leaving voodoo practices in New Orleans, and on her way through, a priest killed her. Yeah, he hunted her down and killed her. So my guess is that she probably did nothing wrong and was just fleeing for her own safety, and this man made an extreme assumption that was, if I'm being honest, probably racist, and murdered her. So that one is yeah, I don't have words actually. Yeah. But it is dated to the 1800s, though there are still a lot of misconceptions about voodoo practices today. And I encourage anyone to do some more research on that if you aren't very familiar with voodoo. And others still also will say that they've heard the sound of a dead man hitting the roof of their car, which is a very interesting assumption for a sound. Like, I can't even imagine being like, oh my God, something just hit the roof of my car. And then being like, oh, it was a dead body. It was a dead man. Like, I'm so sorry. What? Like, I don't need to, like, get out of my car and look because I know that was the sound of a dead body dropping on the top of my car. How do you know that? How? Like, how can you just imagine that visual to go with the sound? Like, I would think some sort of animal fell. Maybe a bird fell out of the sky. A giant bird. I know it's going to be a loud sound. But, like, my first thought is not of a man's dead body dropping from the trees onto the roof of my car. So, I don't know. I would love to hear someone's personal story about that. So, if you have one, please, by all means, let me know. Okay, road number 3 is Satan's Tunnel in Hawk Point, Minnesota. When I first saw this on the list, I was just like, I got a really basic description, and it was so strange that I was like, I need to know more. So, legend has it that this tunnel was once on the land of devil worshippers. Currently, it is on private property, but people will still sneak onto the property to take pictures, to leave spray paint, that kind of stuff. And there are, like, pictures of graffiti in the tunnel sprayed in a multitude of colors, probably by different visitors. But going back to the legend of the past, it was claimed that people would hear horrific noises from this tunnel in the middle of the night. One night, a man decides, he's going to go down to the tunnel, he's going to check it out, he's going to get to the bottom of these horrible noises that everybody in town has been hearing. But as he went to investigate, a train ended up coming through and he was killed, his body going from the train tracks at the top of the tunnel to, like, falling to the bottom of the tracks right at the bottom entrance of the tunnel. And townspeople found him there at the base of the tunnel, not up on the tracks. So that's how they knew that he had fallen down from the tracks, because that's where they had found him. His ghost is said to still linger in the tunnel. Other versions say that this man just disappeared into the tunnel, like he walked in and he never came back out, never to be seen again. I think actually more terrifying than this, though, is another story that was told in the 1970s by some teens who had gone to the tunnel. They were curious, they were investigating it, probably looking for the thrill of their lives, and they ended up meeting a man who was homeless in the tunnel, and he told them about the scary story. Like, he knew more details, so he was telling them about it, and he was telling them, like, it was very unsafe there, and he was just letting them know all about these ghost stories. Well, apparently, the next morning, he was found dead. And it's claimed that the caution tape put up by the police that day to look at the crime scene is still there. But I did see some photos from a 2006 paranormal investigation, and I will add those photos to the screen. From the pictures, it didn't seem like the tape is there anymore. There was like regularly, obviously, people putting up graffiti in the tunnel, so maybe they took home some of the tape as like a souvenir. And not much is actually known about how the man died, so they weren't ever like able to find an exact cause of death or like indicate that it was murder and have a suspect. All that's known is that they found the man's face frozen in fear. Alright, road number 4 is Clinton Road in West Milford, New Jersey. So this is one of the most like well-known haunted roads in the United States. And since it has such a rich history, there are a few different tales related to this road. So even when it was relatively new, it was plagued with robbers, and others claimed that witches lingered in the woods nearby. But it's like a 10-mile stretch of woods. But the most like well-known story is probably that of a little boy who supposedly drowned and how he will return coins to people. So it's said that if you stand on the top of the bridge and you throw a coin down into the water, he will return it to you. And you can see, even like looking at pictures of the bridge, you can see pictures of coins that were thrown into the water. There are a couple of different theories that people have of how this boy died. Some people say that he was chasing a ball that had gone into the water. Others say that his friends dared him to go in and then left him when he went into the water. And others will claim that he was actually hit by a car when bending over to pick up a coin. And that's kind of an important link to the story of this little boy itself, because it is claimed that if you throw coins into the water, that the ghost boy will return them to you. So you can even see pictures of coins that have been thrown into the water. There are multiple bridges on this stretch of road, and one person that visited did say they were unsure if there was a specific bridge that he was connected to. They did say that there was a bridge that seemed to have a name on it, but they weren't entirely sure. So if you're from New Jersey and you're familiar to Milford Road, please direct us towards which is the proper bridge to perhaps pay respects to. And overall, this road does seem to really spook out a lot of travelers. A lot report to like just feel really uneasy or to even feel sick when driving on it. So it's definitely one that you could spend quite a while reading very personal stories that people have written about it. Okay, number 5 on my list is Jeremy Swamp Road in Southbury, Connecticut. So when I first read a description on Jeremy Swamp Road, I saw mentions of melon heads and how these beings would make drivers disappear. So it was my first time hearing about these melon heads, and that intrigued me. But oddly, when I first started researching just like Jeremy Swamp Road haunted, I wasn't finding much. So I did kind of hone in the research on these melon heads, and there was a lot more about those. So melon heads are rumored to be in several southwestern Connecticut towns. So they're not just in Southbury, it's multiple towns, and multiple towns have so-called melon head roads. And they're described as humanoid creatures, but like smaller than most people and with really large heads. And they're said to survive on eating a multitude of small animals, including cats, but also like ranging to the flesh of teenagers. So it is interesting, I guess. And I'll get into some like theories on the connections to what they eat and whatnot. These humanoid creatures have been connected to several disappearances on the road. There are a couple of different theories on the origins of these beings. Some people say that they're a family who was outcast, potentially because of witchcraft or just connections to it, and they ended up inbreeding because of the lack of like interaction with other members of society, and that this just led to like birth defects, and that's how they came to look like what they're rumored to look like today. Others say that they're a group of patients who left a burning mental hospital and escaped to safety in the woods, and then became cannibals there and never left those woods. I also wanted to note something that the New England Historical Society mentioned in their article about the rumors of these supposed melon heads. They did mention that they believe the name actually comes from a term that was used to describe mixed race people in Appalachia that kept to themselves because their society was made up of Native Americans, former enslaved African Americans, and also just European outcasts. So based on the similarities in names, it does seem like the story could have started with criticism and judgment in a white majority society that just led to more rumors and assumptions as time passed and grew into the story of people today, which is different but still carries those echoes of discrimination. All right, road number 6, I guess I could do this, is Bloody Bride Bridge in Stevens Point, Wisconsin. All right, so this bridge is all about a bride who died on her way to her wedding in a car crash. I'm not gonna lie, makes me think of Heaven Official's Blessing. And if you know, you know. If you don't, get to reading. It is so good. I'm looking at my books down there. I think I read 5 of the 8. I have the 6th book. Honestly, I should start reading it tonight. Let's be real. All right, so to get into the local legend. It's said that the first person to encounter her apparition afterhand was actually a police officer. So they said that he was driving over the bridge and he thought he hit something. So he stopped his car and he got out to check just to find nothing was there. No person, not even an animal. So he's like, okay. And he gets back in his car just to make eye contact in his rear view mirror with a woman in white. It's the bride. And that's, I feel like, become more popular in paranormal TV shows of the concept of a ghost just sitting in your back seat when you get into your car and you making just horrible eye contact with it. But after that initial encounter for the police officer, it is said that the bride keeps reappearing and is in higher frequency. And it's in higher frequency in the winter months. And imagine driving and thinking that the wind is just kicking up a ton of snow behind you, just seeing something white out of your peripheral and you're like, oh, it's snow. And then you look a little closer and it's a woman in her bride's outfit in your car in the back seat. She's there to turn you into her groom, her other bride, and take you to the afterworld to get married. Girl, in this economy, hell yeah, let's go get married in the afterworld. I probably don't have to worry about a job. I don't have to worry about rent. I just get to spend my days with my lovely ghost wife and hunt people on a bridge. 7, if I can do that, is Route 491 in New Mexico. So this route was previously 2,448 miles going from Chicago to Los Angeles, and it was named Route 666. So of course, many people are very superstitious about this number because of its common connections to the devil. So yes, but the road is also known for a high number of fatalities and car crashes. At one point, it was being nicknamed Bloody 666 because of the amount of car crashes, which is kind of scary, but it was very popular in the second half of the 20th century. It was used for military transportation during World War II. A lot of people just figured that they'd be able to find a better life or have fun if they just followed Route 666. So there were a lot of people driving on the road. And of course, the more people on the road, the more accidents that are going to happen. When I drive somewhere in Virginia or into DC, I swear I see some car stalled on the road or 2 people that just got in an accident on the side of the road almost every time I drive. I guess if you're imagining that, it's just a super busy road and there's constantly something happening, it would be pretty likely for, yeah, those numbers to add up. But since this road does run through many states, so like I said, it was 2,448 miles. It does have a lot of haunted buildings along the way. Like there's some hotels, there's some mansions, and even the eerie ghost light phenomena in Missouri. Most interesting is the pack of dogs that people say will chase you at the same speed your car is going, which suggests hellhounds, because I don't know any dog breeds that can keep up with a car going 60 miles per hour, but I may just be ignorant of that. I'll be honest. And there's plenty of other strange happenings on the road as well. So actually, I'm surprised that this stretch of road wasn't named the most haunted in the US by a popular list that came out by Sixt magazine. I hope I'm saying that correctly. It's SIXT. I saw a lot of mentions of this list while I was doing research for this video. So I'm really surprised that this wasn't number one, but that also could be just because of the popularity of the road or just how long it is. Like, I feel like if you're someone that has traveled in the US a bit, or if you live in the US, like it's very common to see a Route 66 road sign. A lot of these were like stolen off of the original road. I feel like there's also just a lot of recreations that people will use for decor. So it's definitely a well-known road. Okay, road number 8 is Bunnyman Bridge on Colchester Road near Clifton, Virginia. This is a topic that I would love to do a deep dive video on. So after you hear this short explanation, if you're just as interested as I am, like, please let me know and I will make a full video, because this one is just so fascinating to me. I'm also based in the DMV area, so I would love to learn more of the local lore. And I will keep in mind that there was a tourism problem near Clifton, Virginia because of this road. So I promise I will be respectful about that. Bunnyman Bridge is an overpass near Clifton, Virginia that became a little bit of an urban legend after 2 incidents. So in the 1970s, there was a man reported in 2 different police incidents in a bunny costume. The first time, this man in a bunny costume seemed to have smashed the window of a car with 2 passengers inside said car, and he did this with a hatchet, and he was yelling at them. He was belligerent, and he dropped the hatchet on the ground before he ran. And they did take it to the police. The police looked at it and gave it back to them, which I thought was interesting. Why did you give the hatchet back to them? But so that was the first time. Second time, he was found by a man still in his bunny costume on a front porch, hacking at a post. So he got another hatchet and he's hacking at this post, and the man saw him and made a police report. What's interesting is both police reports mentioned the man saying something that was get off my property. It's just something about private property. There are some theories that this man had escaped a mental health facility, but others say that he's actually an escaped convict and he's committed multiple murders. So there's quite the scale of options here. But nevertheless, police did end up closing both investigations just because there wasn't enough evidence. And some say that if you go to Ghost Bunny Bridge, you can still see the ghost of the bunny man if you drive through the overpass at night. So that would be very eerie, to be driving under a bridge and just look up and see a man in a bunny costume looking down at you. Yeah, maybe the bunny man will show up in our dreams tonight. Good luck. Road number 9. Hold on. How can I do this? I can't do this. Hold on. 9. Ignore my thumb. This is 9. Okay. It's Gravity Hill in Bartlesville, Oklahoma. As for this road, there's an unusual phenomena where if you put your car in neutral at the base of the hill, your car will move forward on its own, safely getting you past the tracks, because there's train tracks at the base of the hill. And there is a story that some will mention that is meant to explain this phenomena, which is about a school bus and a group of kids. So maybe you already caught the vibe. This one is really sad. Just like forewarning, it's so sad. Apparently, at the time, there was a school bus that had stalled on the tracks, and since the bus was like already in the direction of going downhill, the bus driver had some of the kids get out and asked them to push the bus from the back, which I'm just like, were they at least teenagers? Like, doesn't make it any less awful. But like, I can't imagine asking a group of 8-year-olds to get out of the bus and go push it over the tracks, which like also I don't know if 8-year-old is gonna be like tall enough to even do that. I don't know. I forget how high buses up are. But every time we had to jump out the back for the little like safety, not ritual. We'll just say safety practice because I don't know what word I was going for. But like it just seemed so high off the ground. It just, yeah, no. It seemed as high as an 8-year-old. I don't know. Or as tall as an 8-year-old. Let me be selective with my wording. Okay, but so anyways, here we are. And the kids did get out and they were pushing the stalled bus, and unfortunately, when they were pushing it, a train did come down the tracks and ended up hitting and killing several students. Now, it's said that if you're on the tracks, your car is in neutral, that the ghosts of these kids will push you to safety on the other side. Some say that if you have like flour on the bumper of your car, or if you have like just a dirty bumper, that once you cross over, you'll be able to see the handprints of these little kids, which is just really heartbreaking. And I don't know. Wow. To stay there and make sure that everybody else is brought to safety after you weren't is... Okay, Road 10 is Bray Road in Wisconsin. Going all the way back to 1936, there's been a strange creature with reports of sightings on Bray Road in Wisconsin. And in the original report, a night watchman claimed to have seen a creature standing over 6 feet tall on its hind legs, like between 6 and 7 feet tall, on its hind legs with the body of a human but the face of a canine. And he smelled of rotting flesh, and this kind of became the trademark of this creature. So pretty clearly from this description, it does kind of match that of a werewolf. Sighting in 1936 was not the only one. There have been some other documented sightings from the 80s and 90s, and even as recent as 2020. There is also an artist depiction of one of the sightings in the 1980s, and I will add a picture for you. If you're just listening, let me describe it. It looks like a typical werewolf style creature, except the legs are just extra long. There's also an artist depiction from one of the 1980s encounters with the wolf, and I will add a picture if you're watching this in video format. If you're just listening, I will describe it for you. Imagine your typical like cheesy werewolf. So, yep, it's got like a wolf face, like dark fur, except it has really long legs, like really long, like spider legs, honestly. And if I saw this thing in the middle of the night, I'd probably pee my pants, which I have been thinking a lot about. Okay, wait. Let me explain, because that sounds horrible. I've been like watching more scary movies recently just because I'm trying to get into kind of like the spooky transition from summer to fall. I know it's only August, but here we are anyways. And I've been watching scary movies, and every time that it is like building to some sort of terror, I just like think of what I would do. Like the main character will just be standing there and they're too terrified to like turn and look at the atrocity that is about to like haunt and possibly murder them and jump scare me. And I just put myself in their shoes and I'm like, what would I do if I was in this situation? And my answer is I would pee and pass out. Like, I would obviously pee my pants from the terror, and then I would pass out. And even if I woke up, I would pretend I didn't. I would wait until the sun came up. Like, I'm not dealing with that. That's just like my personal plan. So back on track. The most interesting thing about this creature to me is that, well, like, people have reported it to run at them. It hasn't directly attacked anybody. A lot of the reports just say that it was like wandering in the woods, or it seemed to be hunting some sort of small creature. Clearly, others do find the case of the Beast of Bray Road to be just as interesting, because there was a 2005 horror film based on the creature and even a documentary. And we love a good documentary. I don't actually know if it's good. I haven't watched it. If you've watched it, let me know. Also, let me know if you want to hear more on the Beast of Bray Road, because this is another like piece of lore that I would love to do a deep dive on, because I had so many thoughts and questions while I was researching that I could definitely make an entire video just on this. And number 11, our final road, is Highway 90 in Mississippi at Biloxi Lighthouse. So this one is not as spooky, but it is pretty interesting and a little bit of a lighter mood to end the video with. So in the Biloxi Lighthouse area of Highway 90 in Mississippi, there are reports of a blue light that travelers will see. Remind you of anything? If you thought Will-o'-the-Wisp, correct. If you also thought of the video game that I am horrifically terrible at, called Ori, then you get a gold star. I'm so bad at that game. But now, getting back to it, this blue orb is said to be a light keeper who is still out there guiding the lost sailors back from being past the shoreline, which is really sweet, and there are no claims of this ghost attacking or bothering anyone. It's said to be totally benevolent, and some have claimed to taken pictures of this ghost, but I didn't see any posted. So if you do have a picture of this ghostly light keeper, also known as a firewater ghost, don't just keep it to yourself, okay? Go ahead and DM me or post it and tag me, but you can't just claim to have a picture of a ghostly apparition and not share it. That is no fun. But what I hope was fun is this list of some of the most haunted roads in the United States. Obviously, as I said, it is not every road out there, and it is a little bit of a weird number that I chose 11, but that's what we're rolling with. So there's 11 roads. Let me know what you thought about these roads, if you have any experiences with them, or if you have any experiences with other haunted roads. And also, let me know if there's anything you want to see in the next video. Okay, have a good one. Thank you. Bye.